Hey, how's it going, everybody? If you're new here, welcome in. And if you've been here before, welcome back. I'm Rollshambo, the connoisseur and collector of all things sharp and shiny. And today we got to talk about a knife that I can't stop from dominating my pocket recently. And here's the deal. I've been on this American-made knife collecting kick all year long. I've cut back dramatically on the amount of knives that I've been purchasing and really just focusing on pieces that I truly believe in. And I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, well, I mean, you've already talked about the Vosteed Psyop, right? You already said that it was the second knife that you are putting in the running for knife of the year. What else is there to say? Well, you know, a month has gone by, and that time frame is important because when you unbox something, if you ever unbox something, you're in the honeymoon phase. Everything is sharp and shiny. Everything looks new. And then time goes by and maybe you put it down. Maybe it, finds a home in your display case and you're on to the next one. You're back in the chase. This is not the case with the Vosteed Psyop. The Vosteed Psyop has found more than one or two reasons to stay in my pocket, to stay relevant, well past the honeymoon phase. And here we are, a month later. Guys, I still love this knife. This knife is fantastic. And for those of you who missed my initial impressions, I do go over a lot of things like the specs, etc. I will make sure to link that up in the corner if you want to see my first impressions of this knife. It's probably easy to be on the other end and say, well, of course you love it. You probably got sent that for free by Vosteed. They send you lots of stuff. I went ahead and ordered it myself. I purchased it myself because, like many of you, I just can't help myself. I'm an enthusiast, a user, a collector, and when I see something that I just know in my heart of hearts is going to be fantastic, I can't help myself. So I sold a few knives, and here we are with the Vosteed Psyop a month later, and I still love this knife. It's mind-boggling to me because, well, for a couple reasons. First of all, I hate lanyard holes. They had an opportunity to put it in the backspacer and they didn't. Boo-hoo. I'm not a huge fan of elongated pocket clips. Typically, I like pocket clips to be on the medium to short side. But that said, due to its 3D milled nature, it disappears in the hand. You don't feel it. It's not there. It's a non-issue. It feels good in every grip that I can put it in. Reverse grip is great. Regular grip is great. Choked up grip is really good. And I know some of you are saying, why do they have that big cutout right there on the blade, that beautiful blade? It's so that it can account for this locking mechanism. This is their version of a compression lock. It's called the top liner lock. And guys, this is the future of button locks right here, is the button actuated compression lock. It's really good. I know that some people don't know the difference between a compression lock and a liner lock. On a compression lock, what happens is that the liner gets wedged between the stop pin and the tang of the blade. So something that all compression locks have in common is that notch. There's a piece of the liner that comes up and gets wedged in between that steel and that stop pin, and it creates for a lock which is stronger and which will actually accept more load-bearing weight than a traditional liner lock will. So it is sturdier and it's also more reliable. It has a traditional detent ball instead of regular button locks, which rely on a spring and a plunge. And I understand that technically you could call this liner a cantilever spring, but just to be clear, when talking about plunge locks in specific, I am talking about a regular coil spring. So this does not rely on a regular coil spring at all. It relies on that liner to pop out. And that is, quite honestly, the best iteration that you can have for a compression lock. Spyderco did it first. You have to give them all the credit in the world for doing it first. And many people would consider doing it best with their Spyderco smock. And then they just were content to do nothing. The world said, we love the Spyderco smock, give us more. And Spyderco said, here's another version of the PM2. How about another version of the Para 3? How about we do some some other knives and some exclusives, but no, we're not going to come out with another button actuated compression lock. Vosteed took up the call. They recognized there was a need in the market for that mechanism, and it's been very well received. This is not the only top liner lock / compression lock that they've done. They've also done the Hedgehog, which is another one of my favorite knives this year, but far less premium than the Psyop. They've done the Raccoon, and then of course they've also done the Chaos, which was their very first try at a compression lock. Now, something that I want to mention is that they have changed how they're doing these. On the Chaos, with their first version, it was just a slim piece of metal that was attached to the inside of the frame, and that was their cantilever. That was their liner, and then the rest was just frame. And for whatever reason, Vosteed has switched that up on the Hedgehog and on the Raccoon and on the Psyop. Now, just like with the Spyderco Smock, we actually have a full liner. Not just the slim piece of metal that pops up, we have the full liner. And I do actually think that that makes it a stronger locking mechanism. During this time, wear and tear on this knife has been minimum. And a lot of that is because they properly heat treat this LMAX to 60 to 62 Rockwell, which is perfect for LMAX. I love to see them take that stance and to take pride in that Rockwell hardness target and then advertise it. Thank you. I also really like the fact that they partnered up with Jeff Blauvelt. Sorry, Jeff, if I got your name wrong, of Tough Knives, because the dude is a freaking awesome knife maker and he has really cool designs. And this is one of them. This is his collaboration with them, and it's based off his own custom knife called the Psyop. For those of you who don't know what Psyop means, I'll go ahead and post it up on the screen. Essentially, it's psychological, an operator of psychological warfare. I believe I got that right. I don't know what that has to do with knives, but it is a cool name. I really appreciate that we have jimping that goes all the way to the swedge. I ask for that on knives all the time because I'm a big fan of choking up on my knife, having the superior grip, making sure that I have the level of grip that I need to ensure my hands don't slip off the blade. It's a safety thing, it's a comfort thing, and it makes me feel good knowing that it's there. This knife indexes beautifully. I can't stop messing with it. One thing that I do wish is that I wish that this backspacer were longer. I wish that they said, you know what, to hell with the weight, and we'll just put that right up here. I don't think they could have done that. I think they might have had maybe another inch to ½ inch that they could have done that, but that would have been my preference. They didn't do that. That's okay. I think that has a lot to do with where this liner comes out, but that's a thing. Another thing is that I do wish that they had cut out the back end of this button well, kind of like how we see it over here. We actually have a slight cutout on the back end, and that just makes it easier to actuate the button. No problem. Now, I know that many people have said, oh, boy, that button, it doesn't stick out far enough. It is slowly traveling over. Something that has happened exclusively with all of my compression locks is over time, whether it happens right away or over time, that liner will travel over and over and over. When that happens, this button will also travel over and over and over, and it'll make it easier to access. Now, having this for the last month, has it traveled? It's traveled a little bit. I can tell you that it does stick out more now than it did originally, and it'll probably continue to do so. Typically, those get to about halfway, and then, you know, its traveling days are over. So I'm not worried about it. Is it something that I wish that they had, you know, taken care of right away? Yeah, if they had cut out the back of that button well right there, it would have just enabled easier access, because that is kind of, I'm not going to call it sharp, but that's a very thin edge right there. And so when you consistently press your finger in there, over time, that can become a little bit uncomfortable. So while we're waiting for the button to travel, like it will over time, again, I have no guarantees on how much or when that will happen, but it will, trust me. If you carry this knife enough, that will just happen. That is something that I would have suggested. That's about it. They got T8 screws. I don't mind the placement of the screws. I know in my first video, some people said, I really don't care for the placement of those screws. I don't mind it. I actually think that it looks good. Having those 2 screws right there, it doesn't add to the aesthetics, but I don't think that it takes away either. The blade shape is great, especially with that swedge right there at the top. Cutting geometry is adequate. And even a month later, I can tell you that the edge is still sticky. I've used this to open up bags of plastic. I've cut down boxes. I've opened up boxes. I've gone through tape. I've gone through cardboard, gone through plastic. Those are the typical materials that I go through, and it's performed admirably. And I know that at this point I'm rambling, so I'm just going to end with this. If you are one of those fence sitters who waited for the big channels to get their hands on this and are now wondering why you can no longer find them in stock, that is why. Sometimes when you see a design that you know is going to be good, you just have to act on it. I did, and I have absolutely no regrets. Do I take back what I said when I said that this is most definitely a contender for Knife of the Year of 2024? No, I'm not taking it back. This is 100% a contender. As far as I'm concerned, this is one of the top 2 knives that I've checked out all year long, and I will give it 100% my recommendation as someone that's used it and carried it and reviewed it. And now we've reviewed it twice. Let me know what your thoughts are in the comment section down below. Did you get in on it? Or did you miss out? Are you kicking yourself if you didn't buy one but you wish that you had? Let me know in the comment section down below. And guys, if you want to watch more awesome knife and EDC content, make sure to click on one of the videos that pops up next.